Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us right here on Woodward Sports, featured on the Roar 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. Good morning. Happy Thursday. We are almost to the end of the week, but we have to get into a few things. One, from last night, the Wings took the dub over the Washington Capitals 3-2 in overtime. Shout out to my boy Dylan Larkin with that overtime wrister, finding the back of the net there. Amazing work by our very own captain. But Jeff, your thoughts on the game from last night?
What stuck out to me, honestly, watching the Wings last night, the most important thing is Bertuzzi. Didn't get a goal. He had 3 shots on net, and they were still able to rally into a win. I mean, Ernie had the first goal. The Wings were, down 2-1, I think. Third period, they scored another goal, tie it up, go into overtime, and then Dylan Larkin gets the game winner in overtime. I mean, it was a great game, and you know what? It's a big win. I mean, just because any young team in any sport, for that matter, you go on the road, and they're on they're 3 games into the road trip, I believe. They beat the Chicago Blackhawks, which, they haven't been that good, but regardless, they come in, they beat the Washington Capitals, and it's impressive. I mean, D-Mac said up here yesterday, a couple days ago, I think, talked about just how big of a game this was just for the young guys. I mean, coming out there, they're going away to Washington, a veteran team. I mean, you got the Ovechkin, the leader in goals this year, been an absolute monster, and they kind of controlled him. He had 1 goal off in a power play situation. He didn't really get anything after that. So, I mean, they did good. I thought they played great defense, which has been a consistent thing all year with this team. I mean, you can talk about Mo Sider, you can talk about Nick Leddy. I mean, you can talk about all these guys, but it comes down to really the main guys. In Bertuzzi, I think that was the biggest thing to me. I mean, you got a guy who, is top 5 in goals in the NHL. He comes out, he doesn't have a goal for the third game this season, and they find a way to win. And you know what? Credit to them. A lot of guys stepped up. Lucas Raymond got his assist. I mean, he didn't get a goal, but he stayed aggressive. He was making plays. So that's what you want to see. I mean, it's a big win. The Wings moved to 4-2-1. I mean, I think we talked about what franchise in Detroit would be kind of on their way the quickest, and a lot of people, we mutually agree it's the Wings, because Steve Yzerman has done such a good job surrounding these guys or getting a team of just talented, hungry young players. And you saw it. I mean, a couple veterans like the Ernies of the world, the Lettys of the world. Like, it's a great unit. It's a great group of guys, and I can't wait to watch these guys farther down the season, because so early you're getting wins on the road. Like this early, 7 games into the season, you're already winning on the road against a 4-0-2, or now 4-0-3 Washington Capitals team. It's impressive. It was a big win for the Wings, I thought.
I think what was most impressive was the defense and the goaltending. Like, that's what stood out to me. The Detroit Red Wings committed 4 penalties last night. So they were undermanned for about 8 minutes in that game. And in that 8 minutes, the Capitals went 2 for 4 on the power play, like you'd expect them to. They have one of the best power play units and one of the best power play scorers of all time in Alex Ovechkin. They went 2 for 4, but that's what was impressive, is the Capitals were only able to score when they had a man advantage. That is something you hang your hat on as a team. You're like, all right, if we just don't commit penalties, we probably win this game much easier than we would have liked. But hey, regardless, I mean, for a young team to play against a quality Washington Capitals team like that, on the road, fight in the third period, not give up that costly 3-1 lead. No, they tie it up. They make sure neither team scores for the rest of the period, for that fact. And then they go to overtime, and we all know what happened. Your superstar lineup, Jeff, if that's what you want to call it. Sider, Raymond, to Dylan Larkin with the wrister. I mean, I love 3-on-3 overtimes, by the way. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I love it. I mean, the ice, it's all so open, so free. Everybody skates openly, quick. It's like that. It's such a quick pace. I love it. But good for the Wings. Good for the Red Wings. Another win. They're 4-2-1. And the Capitals are now 4-0-3. And what that means is they've only lost games in overtime. This is a good hockey team. So I think Red Wings, just the locker room in general, they should be happy with themselves. They should. And, it's on a tricky night. I mean, a lot of news breaking about the Blackhawks scandal. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if we want to get into that this morning.
We would need like an hour,
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it's just insane. And it's disappointing, I want to say, too, because a lot of those guys, they're calling for like the team to be taken off the cup, and and those are the guys that were really like pivotal, I think, in the game of hockey. I mean, people are really upset with Jonathan Taves, Kaner, all of those guys, because they didn't speak out, and people think that they had to have known. So disappointing leadership for sure.
Yeah. Last night was really tricky for hockey.
Yeah.
I mean, and the Blackhawks played last night. And it made no sense to me.
And didn't fall apart somehow. I was like,
They
how
played
can you
a close
even
game and they
think
didn't
right
get
now?
blown out
Yeah.
by Toronto, and that's what cost me my bet, which is why I'm even more upset with Chicago, because I had Toronto winning by more than a goal and a half.
And this one didn't hit either.
And of course.
I thought you took the under.
No, I took the under in Detroit.
Oh,
That hit.
oh,
Yeah,
so he
yeah.
was
But the
fine.
one that didn't hit was Toronto
Oh, okay. Yeah.
not winning by more than a goal. That really pissed me off. I'm like, you have a scandal going on. An executive just resigned,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not going to get blown out the next night?
Shame on you.
Shame on you,
guys.
Chicago.
Oh man, but back to the Wings. You got to be excited. Lucas Raymond is must watch TV. I said it yesterday. I'll keep saying it. My goodness. You got to tune into every Red Wings game. If you're just a fan of the Wings or just a general Detroit sports fan, every night the Wings are on, you're going to tune in for at least 5 to 10 minutes, and you just want to watch the kids skate. Dylan Larkin off to a really good start, looking like a leader, looking like a guy that you actually are proud to have as your captain, but he's playing for a contract, man. The kid's got to leave it all out there. And is he the captain that takes you to a cup? I don't know. I don't want to say I don't think so, but it's a little early, especially given how he started this season. I want to give him benefit of the doubt. He's healthy. He's not. The team around him is much better than it has been years prior. So let's see what he does. And let's see what the team does. Bertuzzi, 3 shots on goal. That's important. That means this guy is going to be a bona fide goal scorer for the rest of the year. He's going to have nights where he has 3, 4, 5, 6 shots on target, no goals. And then the next night, 2 shots, 2 goals.
Yep.
It's just how goal scorers operate. Sometimes it's their night, sometimes it isn't. But you know what? They're going to get theirs. And you can book Bertuzzi for 26, 27 plus goals this year easily. Easily. He just has that mentality. He's playing like a guy that wants to put up 30 plus goals. So good for the Wings. Good for the Wings. Big win last night. What do you make of their season outlook? I know we're only 7 games in, but are you changing how you feel about them? I'm not.
No, I'm not, because it's hard to really project. I mean, we talk about what their record's going to be. I mean, I think we both agreed. I mean, right outside the playoffs, they're going to get around 30-something wins. I like this team. It's just about, can they play this consistently, 30 games into the season. They're just a young team, and they get good wins on the road early. But I think the jury's still out. We got to get a bigger sample size, but you still think they can get some wins. Their talent's there. It just depends if they'll show up every single night. That's it.
All right. And then, guys, real quick, obviously, Pistons playing tonight, taking on the 76ers, the last game of their road trip. Pistons, the lone winless team in the Eastern Conference, unfortunately, while the 76ers coming off a blowout loss. I kind of ran those 2 words together. A blowout loss to the Knicks. Your thoughts on this game coming up? And are the 76ers going to come out angry? Are they going to be depleted?
Well, I don't think it matters. The Pistons are in a rebuild, right? And Cade Cunningham isn't playing.
Right.
So you're kind of just like, all right, we'll wait for Cade, who apparently is coming back Saturday. So you'll get your first glimpse of the Pistons and what they probably look like for the rest of the year on Saturday. But the schedule's pretty tough, and we talked about it yesterday. You got the 76ers, get the Magic at home cool on Saturday, and then it gets rough. Away to Brooklyn, home to the Bucks, home to the Sixers, home to the Nets, and away to Houston, away to Cleveland, away to Toronto. I mean, it's a tricky schedule. Out of their first 10 games, they may win 2, maybe 3. It's going to be a little slow, rocky start for the Pistons, but again, this is a team that will, I think by midseason, you'll see exactly who they are and whether or not they make a move at the deadline and get rid of players like a Jeremy Grant. We'll have to wait and see. But that's what I think how the season plays out. I think the young kids step up and it just forces Troy Weaver's hand.
What was the original over-under for game total wins?
Wins 25, and me and Jeff both took the over.
The over. Are you still confident?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, what are they,
Okay,
0-3 right now?
I just wanted to check.
Yeah, no, there's no reason to overreact on the win-loss record. I mean, they're going to win at least 18 to 20 games within their division. So, I mean, that's a given. They'll be fine.
Cool.
They'll be fine.
Yeah, what do they go? On the road to Philly, like you said, tough schedule ahead. I think unlike the Wings, the Pistons are different because they're going to start off slower to kind of work into getting those wins. The Wings are just coming out, getting really big wins. So it's going to take time. I mean, you got Sadiq Bey, your leading scorer. I mean, I don't know how long that's going to last. You're waiting for Cade Cunningham to get back. Jeremy Grant's been, he missed the last game, but hasn't been as impressive as we're used to seeing Jeremy Grant, 16.5 points. But I think over time, like Adam said, I think, I still have the over on 28.5 for wins. I think they can get anywhere from 30, just at least 30 wins. That's just my prediction. And I think they're good enough for that, especially when they get Cade back. He'll provide them with so much more, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see the Pistons this year because there's a lot of promise. Like you're looking at, I mean, you talk about must-watch TV. I think when Cade gets back, he's going to be that guy. He's going to be that must-watch TV for anybody, for Detroit Pistons fans, especially when they're playing bigger games. Like I want to see Cade against top-level teams. Like it's going to be good. But as of right now, you're kind of just evaluating guys like Killian. I mean, can he up his 4.7 points a game? Like that's all I'm asking. What is he going to turn into? You got to give him, like Adam said, maybe a 100-game sample size. He only has 30 so far into his career. So
I'm cool with 240 games, right? 3 full seasons. I don't mind waiting.
Yeah.
But you can't put out donuts. You can't. Look, people laugh at Giannis, how he came into the league. He was a 6-point-a-game guy. And then year 2, he was 12. And then year 3, he was 13, 15. And then 20. And then 27. Then MVP. I mean, you got to show progress at least. Last year, you were hurt. This year, that's fine. Have a bad start to the year. That's fine. Recover and show that you can play in the NBA and that you're worthy of a number 7 overall pick. That's it. Because Sadiq Bey is proving he's the steal of that draft class. And LaMelo Ball, to be fair.
Drafted 10 spots.
How he fell to 3, I don't know. Miles Bridges looks really good in Charlotte, dude.
He's averaging. He's averaging this year.
His PER is almost 27.
Wow.
What is he, a power forward? Makes no sense.
He's a forward. He's averaging what? Giving him 26 a game. I'm like, who is this? The same Miles Bridges?
I don't know. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know if he's a late bloomer. It's not the guy that I've seen the last 6 years. But whatever.
Yeah. No, good for him though. He's balling.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like Adam said, they'll get their wins. I think they'll get a bunch of wins later in the season. It's going to take them to build chemistry. I think Chuck made a good point in the chat. He said the Wings have leadership. The Pistons are missing that. I mean, that is true. The Pistons don't really have a veteran like that. I mean, they have Kelly Olynyk and Jeremy Grant, but those guys aren't leaders. I mean, Cade's your leader, and he's a rookie. So there's levels to this. In the Wings, they have a good collection of leaders. And
you see in the NBA, let's just say if you want to be an all-star, forget superstar, right? Let's say you want Killian Hayes to become an all-star. Well, that's going to take 3, 4, maybe even 5 years before he's even close to being that. We know superstars in the NBA typically they peak, but they also enter that superstar phase around year 6, year 7. So you got to be patient with Killian Hayes.
Yeah.
This is how the NBA works. In the NHL, you know right away. They step on the ice, either they contribute or they don't. There's no such thing as a late bloomer in the NHL. If you're good, you'll skate for days around half the league, easily. We've seen so many top picks come to the league and just light it up. The NFL's a bit different. Your first-round picks, you know right away. And then the 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks, that's how you win Super Bowls, when you hit on those guys. So, we'll see.
Well, speaking of draft picks, we're going to be going through the top 5 quarterbacks going into the 2022 draft this year. Stick around for that. Should the Lions pick any of them up, we'll have to see what these guys think. But before we go, our friends at Northwestern Tech.
Well, listen. Northwestern Tech provides great opportunities for everybody, including probably you watching this right now. Start a new career in an industry that is always essential. It's the heating and cooling industry. You can learn more today by visiting that website right there, northwesterntech.edu.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. And at Hall Financial, we treat our clients like family. And our number one priority is giving each of our clients 5-star service. Our passion for 5-star service, combined with our expertise, allows us to find the best possible solution for refinancing your home loan. We take the time to focus on both the individual and the numbers. We're going to walk you through the process and close your loan in half the time of our competition. Go to davidhallmortgage.com today.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us right here on the Morning Woodward Show on the Woodward Sports Network. You guys, obviously, none of us are in love with Jared Goff. I mean, that's a given at this point. But are we in love with any... Oh, Jared Goff. Are we in love with any of these quarterbacks entering this year's draft? You guys will have to let me know. Should the Lions be in a conversation for snagging any of these QBs?
I think the more the season goes on, and the more you realize you're probably picking anywhere from 24 to 28, maybe even 30, 32, depending on the Rams. There's about 8 quarterbacks that are probably going to be drafted in the first 3-4 rounds. Minimum. There's about 10 teams that need quarterbacks or are unsure currently moving into the future. Now, your top picks, I don't see more than 2 quarterbacks going in the top 10 this year.
I don't see
the
any.
market just freaks out and teams panic. I think players like Carson Strong, players like even Kenny Pickett, even Malik Willis, he catapults into the top 10. But I see 3-4 quarterbacks that can go between pick 16 and pick 48.
Yeah.
Easily. And the Lions have multiple picks within that time frame, and they have 2 third-round picks on top of it. So I don't see why the Lions wouldn't take a chance. You know what's funny? In the latest PFF top 10 quarterback rankings for college football projected prospects, you know who's missing from this list? Jeff?
Oh.
JT Daniels, Kevin Slavis. 2 guys that I think if you're a team and they're in the 4th, 5th round, you take a flyer, guys. Now, I'm not saying it's the next Brady. I'm not saying they're the next Russell Wilson. But you got to at least try. And if you're not willing to reach in the late first round, early second round on a quarterback, well, you sealed your fate. You're going to take one in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round. That's the reality. And I think the Lions are taking a quarterback 100%. We all know the mistake that set them back years, minimum 5 years, in the Jeff Okudah draft with Quinn-Patricia. We know that Martha, Sheila, and Rod Wood allowed the bozos that they put on the hot seat to dictate the future of the franchise. And they completely botched it. And they allowed people that they were willingly criticizing and openly criticizing to make that decision for the future. And now they have to right that wrong. And it ain't going to be easy. Now, I think, honestly, outside of Malik Willis, just because of the Lamar Jackson persona, that aura, oh my goodness, the next Lamar Jackson. You guys know how Lamar Jackson got drafted or no? Sure. Do you know what ownership did in Baltimore? They watched the team take the 1st round pick. They're like, oh, okay, you didn't get him. Picks kept going on, and around pick 23, the owner stepped in and said, you guys are going to draft Lamar Jackson and figure it out. You're going to figure it out, or your jobs are going to be on the line. I'll take full responsibility for this decision, but you're going to draft him, and you're going to make it work. This kid is special. Half the room was yes, half the room was no. But just another example of the kind of ownership other teams have that the Detroit Lions don't have. But that's what makes Malik Willis so fascinating, right? And then you look at Carson Strong. What is he, 6'7"? My goodness, the quarterback out of Nevada. There are guys that intrigue you, but there's not a Joe Burrow this year. Maybe it's Kenny Pickett, the late bloomer, the guy that feels like he's been at Pittsburgh for 10 years, but he's only really been there for, 5?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think he has as many starts as Baker Mayfield.
So,
Baker was in
I mean, this is what happens in college football, and I think it's a compliment, though, because there are quarterbacks that rely on their skill and their athleticism, and they get through college, and then they go straight to the league after 2-3 years. And then there's these guys who bloom late, have to figure out coverage schemes, have to understand the game of football, and they're much more polished, and that's why people like a Burrow, a Baker, can just walk into the league and contribute. So I'm interested. If I'm the Lions, I'm taking a flyer, late first round, early second round, if I'm in love with the quarterback. I'm not reaching because I have to. And if, let's say, the Lions are picking, number 1, And rumors are that they're taking Malik Willis or whoever it may be, even though we all think it's the defensive end, right? Mm-hmm. If the team at 2 or 3 wants to trade up and give you 2, 3 first-round picks to do it, you trade back. You trade back unless you believe the quarterback that you'll be drafting is the guy for 10 to 15 years. And I'm sorry, you don't draft quarterbacks number 1, number 2 overall without Hall of Fame expectations. Because if you aren't, why are you drafting him? You need a franchise guy. So I like the idea of taking a quarterback in the late first round, but we'll see how the season plays out. It's still a lot of ball to be played for the college football kids.
If we look at the top 5 quarterbacks that Mel Kiper's a fan of, we have Kenny Pickett at number 1, which is someone who I'm a fan of as well. I mean, the guy's, you can like anybody that's third in QBR in the nation, and he only has 1 interception on the season. Like Adam said, though, he's been in college for a couple of years, a veteran. But not next, you have Matt Corral at 2 from Ole Miss. Those guys are really the only 2 guys that I would love. Carson Strong's another one, out of Nevada. But he has 3rd, Desmond Ridder, 4, Malik Willis, 5, Sam Howell. I'm going to be honest. A lot of Malik Willis fans. He's number 4 on this list. And Mike G in the comment section kind of was going to say what I was going to say. Like, I'm surprised Malik Willis is just rated so high considering who he's playing. You know what I mean? Like,
I think you're looking at the player right now. Going back, Louisville was never a 5-star football program. Lamar Jackson rolled in, made them relevant. They've been irrelevant since. So, again, if you're going to take a flyer on Malik Willis, you got to look at Baltimore and what did they do to surround Lamar Jackson. And if you can't do that, you don't take the kid. Now, how does this affect the Lions? Well, I like the idea of taking a quarterback in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, like we talked about not too long ago. But I'm becoming more open-minded to the idea that maybe they take a quarterback in the late 1st round.
I wouldn't.
Late 3rd round with one of it depends. We wouldn't. But again, if your GM of your football team is in love with a quarterback, I think he should do whatever it takes to get him. Now, whether that's the 3rd, 4th round, I mean, we just brought up 2 quarterbacks that were top 10 picks going into the year. Rattler's going to be out of this list soon. JT Daniels, Slavis from USC, these are guys that were highly touted. And if you get them in the 3rd, 4th, even 5th round, in my opinion, that's a steal because you're not risking much. And then in the first 2, 3 rounds, you'll be able to really, really help your football team. And Jared Goff's your quarterback next year either way, so it doesn't matter. But if you're sold, and if Brad Holmes, this only applies to Brad Holmes. If you are sold on a quarterback, you do whatever it takes, whether it's at number 1, number 24, number 15. You got to trade up. I don't know. Whatever it takes to get the guy you want, you get him. And that's your decision, and that dictates your future in Detroit.
And listen, if Brad Holmes is in love with any of these guys, go ahead and go after him. But if I'm being honest, we're going to talk about what would we do with the first 5 picks, but a late first for a quarterback, I would be disappointed unless it's Kenny Pickett or anybody that's spectacular. But if you're taking a Malik Willis in the 1st round, late 1st round, I would like a quarterback really 3rd round, 4th round. If any of these guys fall to you, so be it. If not, you go what you really need to go anyway. You take defensive players, you take skill positions.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about what we would do with the first 4 picks that the Lions have. 2 firsts, a 2nd, and 2 thirds.
Yep.
I mean, this is like going to be a heavy defensive draft. I mean, you're going to draft defensive players, and this is the obvious. But again, if you're Brad Holmes and your guy is on the board, I think you do it. You have to. If you're Brad Holmes, if it's me, I am committed entirely trying to overhaul my defense because Lord knows it's inept of talent. Mm-hmm. I'm going defense probably 4 of the first 5 picks. So we got to go to break.
We do. When we come back, we will be talking about Deandre Swift, where he's kind of sitting amongst other running backs when we come back. But first, our friends at MyBookie.
Guys, what is a lock in sports betting, and why should you use MyBookie? A lock isn't simply a bet that can't lose. No, guys. And with MyBookie, you can't lose with your locks. Why? Because they have their NBA lock of the season. Place a bet on either team to score between the Dallas Mavericks and the Denver Nuggets, and when the first bucket hits, you win. Simple promotion, free money. And that's not at all the only way to get paid, guys. Friday, Saturday, wake up with some UFC action. Heck, you know what's coming up Saturday? The big game out in East Lansing. You can bet State as the dog. You can take Michigan on the points. State with the points, however you like. You want to take the over-under, be my guest. But the action happens at my bookie, and they're matching dollar for dollar. So you put in $100, they're going to give you $100. You put in $200, they will give you $200, guys. Use code Woodward to activate that promotion. Bet from anywhere, anytime. Again, that's my bookie. And if you do have a gambling problem, please call the Gambling Problem Hotline at 1-800-270-7117.
You'll be dying to get your hands on Papa Romano's gruesome twosome. This spectacular deal gets you 2 large one-topping pizzas for a limited time for $19.99. Order now at paparomanos.com.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out with us right here on the Morning Woodward Show on this beautiful Thursday. You have almost made it to the end of the week. But as promised, we're going to get into some Deandre Swift. People also talking about top dual threat running backs. Probably thinking about Alvin Kamara. That's who we're hearing over and over. But our very own Deandre Swift creeping into that conversation, leading the NFL running backs in receptions with 42, receiving yards with 391. Kamara right now has 419 rushing yards, 241 receiving yards, 5 total touchdowns in 6 games for an average of 110 scrimmage yards per game. Similarly, Swift splitting carries with Jamal Williams, obviously, has 262 rushing yards, 391 receiving yards, 5 total touchdowns for an average of 93.3 scrimmage yards per game. So, boys, your thoughts? Should he be more of a vocal point of the offense? And where do you have him ranked amongst these other running backs?
Well, Deandre Swift has been balling this season on the receiving side of things. I mean, there's a statistic right here. Completed his 20th career game in Week 7. He joins running backs Barry Sanders and Billy Sims as the only players in team history, Detroit Lions team history, to post at least 1,500 scrimmage yards and 15 touchdowns through 20 games. His 88 receptions through 20 games are the most in team history. So it says a lot about his threat in the receiving game as well as being a threat on the ground. I mean, the thing with Deandre Swift is he doesn't get a ton of carries. He's not getting as many carries as Alvin Kamara, but when he is utilized in that sense, he creates space. He is able to gain positive yards. And that's what I love about Deandre Swift. I mean, I sat up here and said multiple times, I still believe, I love Jamal Williams. I think the backfield should operate like it did in Green Bay with Jamal Williams. It should be Aaron Jones should be the Deandre Swift, and Jamal should come in for his 8 to 12 carries a game. I mean, I believe if Deandre Swift can handle it, which we don't know, his soft tissue injuries always lurk with Deandre Swift and other things, but the pressure that Deandre Swift faces, at least being a primary back, I love the 1A, 1B. You don't want to put everything on Deandre Swift's shoulders. My thing with Deandre Swift is, listen, if you're giving him limited opportunities and he's making the best out of them and he's creating space, and you saw what he did against LA in the first drive, like, this is a guy that needs to get more touches, and you got to find a way to get him more touches. Now, does he not get enough touches now? No. But I think with the lack of receivers on your team, Deandre Swift has more receptions. Let me read this off. This will shock a lot of people. Deandre Swift has more receptions than Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins, and Devonta Smith at a running back position. And that says a lot about Jared Goff checking down to his running backs. But it also says a lot about how Deandre Swift is just a threat. He gets open. He creates space. So, he's 8th in the NFL in receptions. 8th in receptions across the board, wide receivers. So it's impressive, man. And I love Deandre Swift. I think he was one of the picks, in the Jeff Okudah draft. You're kind of like, okay, Jeff Okudah 3rd overall. But Deandre Swift in that second round was a light. I mean, that was a great pick. Just because of the workload he was able to get in Georgia coming into the NFL, he's ready. What is he, 5'8", 5'9"? He's shifty, and he can break ankles. So I love Deandre Swift, man. And where does he rank among other running backs? Just because of his productivity, especially in the run game, it's tough. Like, you have your Derrick Henrys of the world. You have a lot of more guys that Joe Mixon's of the world, guys that are just better on the ground, and because they get more carries. So I'm not willing to put him in that top 6, 7 running back category. But if you're number 2 in running back in fantasy, a lot of people are going to love you. And Deandre Swift is definitely, I think, somewhere top 10 outside of that, just because of his danger in the receiving game. That's where I'd rank him.
Talent-wise, he's a top 10 back for sure. It's not even arguable. But they're not giving him enough touches on the ground. I know they do a good job of getting him in open space. A lot of dink and dunks, screenplays. You've seen him go big twice this year off of screenplays. Once against San Francisco, the other last week against Los Angeles. The guy's a baller. He's a playmaker, and you got to get the ball in your playmaker's hands. And that's all you can ask for if you're an offensive coordinator. Is how many times can I get this guy the ball? But when you're only giving him 11 carries a game, that's kind of difficult to get really anything going. I think he's got to be anywhere between 15 and 17 a game. You got to commit to Swift on the ground, too. You got to see what he's capable. Is he just a receiving back, or is he a dual threat back? It's easy to say, well, Swift's a dual threat back. How? How do you know that? There are 33 players that have more rushing yards this year than Deandre Swift. 33. There are 32 NFL teams. I mean, come on. You got to get him more carries. I understand you have Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
But last I checked, Jamal Williams is not a home run hitter. He's a second and short, third and short, fourth and short guy. Let Deandre Swift have an opportunity to break one home. You give him 17 carries, one of them's going for 20, 30, 40 yards. And you get him 4, 5, 6 catches a game out of the backfield, one of them's going for a big play. He just needs to make one guy miss in the open field, and he has potential to take it all the way. He's that dynamic. He's that versatile. So I don't even care what you want to call him, whether he's top 10, whether he's top 5. I don't care. I don't care about the ranking. All I know is this dude is good. He's damn good. And you can question his ability to run between the tackles. You can say whatever you want. I'm not asking him to dominate the carries. What I'm simply asking for is you need to find out, can he run between the tackles? Giving a guy 9 to 11, this is what you did with Derrick Henry early on in Tennessee. You weren't even giving him a chance. Try to get Swift going. You saw it last year in Jacksonville. You gave him over 20 carries. He balled for over 120 yards. You didn't give him more than 20 carries the rest of the season. He hasn't carried the ball for over 20 times yet this season. Mm-mm. Give him an opportunity. The offensive line, yes, with injuries, is still good. You proved you can run against Los Angeles. Get Swift 15 to 18 carries, and if you can get him to 20, that'd be great. I think you have a better chance of winning football games if you do that. But get the ball in your playmakers' hands. Don't just rely on the screenplay. Don't just rely on the dump-offs. Get him the ball on the ground and see what he can do.
And you know what? I'm not going to argue with the point of Deandre Swift and his health because, like I said, Easy makes a good point because there is games like in Cincinnati at 13 carries for 24 yards. You could argue not enough carries, but the production wasn't there. There's going to be games where Jamal Williams just has it going. But for the most part, like Adam said,
Jamal Williams has never had it going. Jamal Williams in that game, 4 carries, 11 yards. I mean, the Lions didn't get anything going that game. You got to give your playmakers the ball. That's just how it works. You don't sit there in Kansas City and you don't give Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce about 10 targets a game. You just don't. If you don't do that, you're an idiot. Deandre Swift is your best playmaker on offense. He just is. He's the most dynamic, more than TJ Hawkinson. And you know what advantage he has? He's coming out of the backfield, which means he typically gets a linebacker against him, which means he makes him miss. He's going for the first down at minimum. Great. We know he has great pass-catching ability. Can he be a guy that you give the ball 15 to 20 times on the ground to? And if he is, that's a damn good thing. But stop limiting him to 10, 11 carries a game. It's unacceptable in my opinion. I think you got to give him an opportunity and say, hey, against Philly, we're going to commit to the run game. We're going to give the ball to Swift 20 times. If he doesn't go for 100 yards, I'm willing to sit back and say, all right, maybe he can't do it. But that's only one game. Give me some sample size. I can only go back to last year against Jacksonville early on in the year where he had his homecoming, or not his homecoming, but his breakout game. You ran him And you continue to run him on first, second. Didn't matter. You continued to run the ball with Deandre Swift last year. And one game that he was over 20 carries, he went off. Can we see that? I understand Jamal Williams is a nice asset to have on those short, intermediate situations. But my goodness.
Asset is key, though. Like that.
If the guy is averaging
word.
4.5 yards a carry, what's the problem?
Right.
What's the problem? 4.5 yards a carry, that's a first down every 3 carries.
So a couple people are in the chat arguing the same point, and I kind of see it. You think the Lions are actually conserving his health, like in terms of...
To an extent, maybe that's the case, but what do you... Again, you're going to have to pay him soon. Now, are you going to pay him Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry money? I'm not going to do that. No. If you're telling me I'm only going to give him the ball 11 times a game, and I'm going to throw him the ball, 4 or 5 times a game? No. No, I won't do that. I'm not going to pay him $12, $15 million to do that. Jamal Williams is a nice asset. It's good to have. But Swift is the feature A back. You took him in the second round. Mm-hmm. Get him the ball 15 to 20 times a game on the ground and see what he's capable of. And if he isn't capable of it, well, now you know. You know that you don't have to pay him an arm and a leg to stay. And you know that, well, maybe his production is replaceable. Who knows? There's a million outcomes. But don't sit there and give the guy 11 carries a game and tell me that he can't run between the tackles.
True.
It's hard for any back to get it going when you only give him the ball 11 times. What, once every 3 possessions, you're giving him 1 or 2 carries? That's unacceptable. Once a possession, let's say. That's it. On a 12-play drive, he's only carrying it one time? I think it's unacceptable.
Yeah, he's so much more talented than that. I mean, we both agree there. We've said it. Jamal Williams, it's not taking anything away from him. I think he's great. Like you said, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1. I mean, even red zone situations, he's an animal. But the fact of the matter is, Deandre Swift, I mean, his potential in both the receiving game and the run game, it seems pretty limitless. And you can get a guy like Deandre Swift who's only, 22 years old. I mean, he didn't play a whole lot last year. You could pretty much call him somewhat of a rookie. I mean, Adrian Peterson took up all of his carries his rookie year. But I want to see him, like you said, 20 carries, 20-plus carries, one game. Maybe if it might be a game where Jamal Williams goes down. I don't know where it's going to come from, but I want to see Deandre Swift get a load and just see what he can do, because you don't know. We haven't really seen, 13 carries. What was the most carries he's gotten this season? I think
this year, 14.
And
it was against Baltimore, who are a very good run defense. It's not saying much.
Yeah.
And then you go back to last year, 114 carries, 521 yards, almost 4.6 yards a carry. His longest 54. He already showed last year he's a pass-catching back. He's already accomplished last year's numbers from a receiving standpoint. We know how great he is out of the backfield catching the ball. But can he run between the tackles, outside? I don't care what you want to call it. When I have a playmaker on my football team, I want to get him the ball as much as possible. The Titans get the ball in Derrick Henry's hands. Alvin Kamara rushes more than Deandre Swift does. When you have a back, you got to run them. And yes, their shelf lives are very, very, very small. But do you really think they're just going to conserve his health for the next 2-3 years and wait for the team to be good? Or are you trying to somewhat play? What's the point of having Deandre Swift if you're not going to use him? Trade him then. Trade him. Seriously.
I agree with you.
His job isn't just catching out of the backfield. He needs to be able to run. If you're not going to give him 15 to 18 carries a game, I think it's a waste. Kennedy?
All right, you guys. Well, coming up, Adam already touched on it a little bit. He teased you guys. They are going to pretend as if they are the Lions GM, what they're going to do during this upcoming draft. Stick around for that. But first, I need to tell you guys about my friends at Legacy Partners Insurance. You guys know when you watch games, you're bombarded with insurance ads that promise to save you money. But if you really want to save money, I need you to go use my new friends at Legacy Partners Insurance. They're independent, so they shop between 7 and 10 carriers for your insurance needs. Here's what I need you to do. Call 586-209-4106 and tell them that Kennedy sent you, not Maz. Tell them that Kennedy sent you. Just for getting a quote and telling them that I sent you, you'll get a $50 gift card. You'll be entered in a drawing to win one. So call or go to legacypartnersins.com/Woodward today.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us right here on the Woodward Sports Network. You're tuned in to the Morning Woodward Show. All right, boys, it's time. If you were the Lions GM, what would you do with the first 5 picks in the first 3 rounds of the upcoming NFL Draft? We are going to do this based on position, not necessarily. These guys don't have to give me a player name, but what positions are you taking, Jeff? Let's start with you.
Well, the first one, it really depends where the Lions end up. If they're number 1 overall, you know where to go. It's Kafan Thibodeau. It's defensive end. But if they fall to like 3, 5, I mean, there's going to be the Kyle Hamiltons of the world, the Stingleys of the world. There's other players, defensive players you can get, but the point still stands. You go defense, your number 1 overall pick, whether it's top 3 or whatever the case may be. You take care of that side of the ball. I'm sure Adam will agree with me too.
Look, I mean, if you finish with the number 1 overall pick, you're probably taking Thibodeau. That's a guarantee. That's going to happen. You get the number 1 pick, you finish 1-16, 2-15, whatever it may be, you're taking Kayvon Thibodeau. All right, cool. We can accept it. Now you're picking 24, let's say. You're probably going secondary, or you're probably going linebacker. I doubt linebacker. If it's late first round, we'll see who's on the board. But I'm going defense first round, both picks.
Okay.
Defense first round, both picks, unless there's a wide receiver sitting pretty at 24 to 28 that I really like. I'll maybe take a chance. I'm cautious. I'm overhauling my defense. I'm 7-8 players away on the defensive side of the ball. My first round is going heavy defense. Thibodeau, number 1 overall, and then number 24, 28, wherever the Rams end up picking, doesn't matter. That's where I'm going to take another defensive player, probably a secondary player, I think is where I'm going to go. Jeff?
My second is going to be, honestly, second pick in the first round. I'm going wide receiver, if there's one there. Because these are the Justin Jeffersons of the world. I mean, there's guys that fall to the late first round this year that are going to be productive and that can start game 1 for you. Now, if Brad Holmes is not in love with the wide receivers, I got safety, like you said, secondary. I think, and if you take Kyle Hamilton first, you go linebacker. So it's either one. You take a safety or a linebacker. You got to go defense or the best wide receiver available. If it's like a Justin Jefferson situation, you snag the best guy. But if not, I think we agree. You address the secondary or the linebacker core, and that's what you do.
I mean, look, it's really tricky. It depends who falls to you. I mean, you could do these mock drafts all you want. You're not sure who's going to fall.
True.
A wide receiver could fall. One of the safeties you like could be taken earlier. You don't know. But just from a strategic standpoint, if I'm picking number 1 overall, I'm taking care of Thibodeau. That's happening. It's not even a conversation. Let's say I'm picking 28. I'm taking a corner. I'm taking a safety. I'm making a move on the defensive side of the ball. Now round 2 comes along. Well, here's where your Carson Strongs, your potentially Kenny Pickett's, there's going to be a quarterback available. And if you're Brad Holmes and you fall in love, do it. Me personally, I'm not ready to commit to a quarterback. It's way too early still in the college football season. There's still so many games left to be played, so much evaluation that still needs to happen. So right now, I'm passing on quarterbacks. I'm either going defensive line or, again, I'm going to address the secondary. And then that's your first 3 picks. You're getting 3 defensive players. I think that's the way you go. And then you fall all the way to the 3rd round. Well, now this is where you can kind of get cute. This is where maybe you take a wide receiver. Maybe even in the 2nd round you take a wide receiver. It depends, really, who's on the board. But the main coup here, or what you want to haul here, after 4 picks, is 3 defensive players and a skill position player. And then your 5th pick in the your 3rd round, that's where maybe you reach for a quarterback if you just want to bring one in and see what you got. A Slavis. Carson Strong, maybe he falls off the table. JT Daniels, who knows? Or maybe you just completely skip it again and you go another skill position. But I'm not addressing quarterback early on. I'm not bought in currently.
Yep, I feel
I'm just not. And that could change by March of next year.
And you know what?
We'll wait and see. But right now, I'm heavy addressing my defense. And I got to address the skill position. I got to take a receiver 2nd or 3rd round. It's a must this year. It's an absolute must.
Yeah, you're spot on. And the quarterback thing, I mean, to your point, the quarterbacks this year, you don't have a Russell Wilson, in the third round. I mean, obviously, people say you don't know, but there could be a Russell Wilson. Kenny Pickett, he's probably going to go in the first round. Matt Corral is going to go probably earlier than a lot of people think. And then that leaves you Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis. Like, I would just go defense. I mean, I have our first 5 picks, defensive end, safety, or linebacker. Wide receiver, linebacker, safety again. It depends. I mean, you go linebacker, safety. You just need those 2 positions to address it, and then you go quarterback. Probably your last pick, if there's one available. Like you said, Carson Strong. You got your other guys of the world. You want to take a flyer on a guy like Keaton Slovis or whatever, JT Daniels. It does not matter. I mean, you take them late in the draft, but like Adam said, you have to address, like he's 7 to 8 defensive players away on that side of the ball. Like, you have to address it somehow, and it's not going to be only through free agency. So it's going to take a lot, and I think we kind of mutually agree. A lot of fans are going to agree it's got to go defense. I mean, you shouldn't take any unless you like you kind of know what you're going to do with Taylor Decker and you like a right tackle late in the draft. But anyway, that's a different story. They should go defense and address that side of the ball.
There's safeties available probably late first round, early second round, like the safety out of Penn State. There's going to be guys, who knows, the Cincinnati secondary players may fall to you at 18 and you want to trade up a little. Who knows? This isn't really a mock draft. This is just a general assumption like, hey, if we're picking 1 overall, right now consensus is Thibodeau. You're probably taking Thibodeau. Okay, so now I'm picking between 24 and 30, right? I'm going defensive player again. I'm not taking a quarterback. If I'm taking a quarterback, it's with that number 1 overall pick. It means I'm completely sold. And that's not what's going to happen. And I know Jared Goff is my quarterback no matter what next year. So I'm not in a position where I have to rush to take a quarterback. So let me load up, overhaul my defense, similar to what Carolina did. If I want to take a lineman in the second round or third round, be my guest. This is a pretty good lineman class, O-line I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The O-linemen are good. You look at the ones out of Ohio State, Washington, there's some good linemen that can fall to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. You can address your right tackle position maybe. And then in the third round, you go for more skill position players. And if you have a wide receiver that you're in love with, you get him. And if he's in the second round and it's coming to an end and you got to get him before someone else does, you trade up to get him. Get and address your needs and get the best players on your draft board. That's what you got to do. And if I can walk away with my first 5 picks, 3 to 4 defensive players, an O-lineman, a wide receiver, I am very happy with that. But it's got to be a huge emphasis on defensive players.
Yep.
Team's lacking. The offense just needs a quarterback and a wide receiver. And even if you don't address the wide receiver position, you get a good quarterback, your offense will function. Believe me.
Truth.
The quarterback is the problem more so than the receivers. You don't believe me? Watch the film. See all the wide receivers that are actually open that your bum of a quarterback can't see. So I think the main thing right now, defensive players, secondary players, you want your edge rushers. If you get the number 1 pick right now, is anyone disagreeing on Thibodeau? Honestly, number 1 overall. I don't think you're not taking Kyle Hamp to number 1 overall. Sorry, Kennedy. You're not. If you want to take him,
I want to take
you're going to have to trade back, but that doesn't guarantee you'll get him.
You think you'd see a Hamilton, from a 3 to 4 to
3 to
6?
5?
3 to, yeah, okay.
3 to 5, I think. I mean, we'll see how the season continues.
Yeah.
But I'm still burned about the whole Jeff Okudah thing. I think Kyle Hamilton coming out is a much better prospect, yes, but different positions. I don't care, though.
You got the PTSD from it.
You got to get the edge rusher, guys.
PTSD.
Guys, look at Cleveland. Look at the Chargers.
Yep.
When you draft a Myles Garrett, when you draft a Joey Bosa, it freaking helps. Masks a lot of problems on your defense. When you can make the quarterback get rid of the ball quicker than he wants to. Get the edge rusher. Okay. Go grab a secondary player later on. Go grab a wide receiver. Go grab another secondary player. Go grab an offensive lineman and then maybe another receiver late in there. But it doesn't matter. Team has a lot of holes.
Yep.
But it's not as bad as people think. The offense is almost there. The offense is missing a quarterback, which is very difficult to get right, and 1 good wide receiver, which I think you can draft and get in the free agency if they're available. And you gotta figure out who's on your draft board going into that draft. Who's that wide receiver? Because you got to draft one, Detroit. You got to. So who is it? Is it Dotston from Penn State in the second round, third round? I don't think he'll be available by the third round. We got to go to break.
We do. When we come back, we will be talking Michigan State. You guys know it's been the talk all week. I mean, I can't wait for Saturday. I know these guys can't either. But before we go, we're talking about Lions defense a lot here. But Jeff knows an even better defense.
Yeah, listen, Guardian Alarm, they get it. I mean, we saw last week Aaron Donald, Penei Sewell. Like, imagine those guys, or Aaron Donald trying to get into your house. All right, and this is Penei Sewell right here. Guardian Alarm. And you can prevent that from happening. I mean, they get it. Good defense on and off the field. Helps you feel secure. And, you know, they got 24/7 local monitoring. That's the most important part. Because Guardian Alarm also has convenient features that actually let you check in on your home and lock and unlock doors. So it does not matter. Call 800 Stay out today. That's 800 Stay out. You hear fish. I mean, it's important. Keep them out of your house. And Guardian Alarm can do that because they've been trusted for over 90 years at keeping families safe.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us right here on the Morning Woodward Show. As promised, getting into U of M MSU. I want your guys' opinions and takes on the coach's time at each school. So let's go through Harbaugh, Mel Tucker. Who has the better defense? Who has the better offense? Your thoughts on all the QBs? I think I already know Adam's take on that one. But, Jeff, we'll start with you. Let's start with the coaches. Don't give me that face, Adam.
Well, it's hard for me to really say Mel Tucker's a better coach than Jim Harbaugh just because of his track record. I mean, Jim Harbaugh has been, he's brought multiple 10-win seasons. I mean, you can say what you want about him in bowl games, and but at the end of the day, a lot of top talent guys play in bowl games. I mean, bowl games, you take them with a grain of salt. I mean, they're important. You got to win them, but Jim Harbaugh has done a lot at Michigan. I mean, he hasn't beat his rivals, but in terms of a better coach, for a season really and a half, I would still give it to Jim Harbaugh. I mean, I think Mel Tucker's trending in that direction. I mean, he beat Michigan already. He's undefeated his second year. Let's see what he can do against Michigan this week and even next year. And if he stays at Michigan State years to come. But right now, I just don't see how you can say Mel Tucker's the better coach right now. So I'll give it to Jim Harbaugh.
Look, to be honest, I don't think it's fair to even do this.
Yeah.
Regarding Mel Tucker and Harbaugh, Mel Tucker coming from Colorado to Michigan State last year, overhauling the team, 7-0. I think we should do this really after the game on Saturday. At least for the coaches, and I'll tell you why. And guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to try to speak for both fan bases since I'm a neutral and I don't have to worry about what I say. If you're a Michigan fan, you are very happy you're 7-0. Don't get me wrong. But you are absolutely losing sleep all week knowing that if you walk into East Lansing as the favorites again, and you lose, this whole charade, this whole party comes crashing down. It's all gone. And if you're a Michigan State fan, well, you're happy to be 7-0, but you feel like, well, I'm dreaming. And it's like 6:39 in the morning, my alarm goes off at 6:40. And I might be waking up on Saturday. And this may not be the number 8 football team in the nation. This may just be a real good 7 weeks for us. And Michigan beats us. And we become 7-1. And maybe our season falls off. Like, both fan bases, I think, should be very worried. I just do. And I think back to Michigan, from their perspective, you win this game. Wow. I mean, you're only in your way heading into Ann Arbor against Ohio State undefeated. You're only your own worst enemy. And if you look at Michigan State, if they win that game, well, it's not a Cinderella. It's not a dream. It's not a fake football team. It's not at all. And then their path to a Big Ten title game opens up pretty clear. It's all in front of them. Yes, they have to play Ohio State. They have to win some big games. But hey, we beat Michigan. If Michigan beats Michigan State, it's Mel Tucker's second year. What he's already done is enough. We expected him to win 5-6 games, 7 being lucky. They're already 7-0. If Tucker beats Michigan, how does Jim Harbaugh recover? How does the football team recover? You fought 0-2 against Mel Tucker 2 years into a rebuild? It's scary. It's scary times for both teams, both fan bases. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's what I think. I think both fan bases are nervous as hell going into Saturday, and it's not even close. Michigan for their own reasons, State for the other reasons I just explained. I'm telling you guys. You wake up Saturday morning and you're a State fan? Man, I don't want to wake up from this. Like, we're 7-0. How are we 7-0? Mel Tucker. I can't believe it. K9. Peyton Thorne. Reed. Naylor. Oh my goodness. Defense looks good. You wake up Saturday as a Michigan fan? Oh my God. Please, God, we can't lose this game. Oh my God, I'll never hear the end of this. If we lose another game to Michigan State and we were undefeated, what are we going to do? How? Like, I feel so bad for both fan bases. They're going to be so traumatized, but I feel bad more for Michigan. I think Michigan State fans, although every fan base has their own like delusional side, I think State fans are like happy to be here. Yeah. I mean that. I think they're just like, hey man, we're 7-0.
Yeah.
Who would have expected this?
Right.
And you know what? If we lose to Michigan, like it's going to suck.
But we beat them
and
last year.
It'll feel like 2 losses. But you know what? God damn it, Mel Tucker. Good job. But you don't want it to end if you're a Michigan State fan, right? You don't want it to end yet. And I think that's the tricky part going into Saturday. I think that's the storyline. Now, going into quarterbacks, I think Peyton Thorne's a better quarterback.
Yeah, we both mutually agree.
And that's not even close. I think he's a much better quarterback than Cade McNamara, better footwork. He throws the ball better. I'm not saying he's, a natural gifted thrower of the football, but you know what? He can make the throws. And he's gotten better week to week. And I think J.J. McCarthy, you guys know how I feel, and he needs to start. But in my opinion, Peyton Thorne, Cade McNamara, that's the matchup. I'm going with Peyton Thorne. Jeff, we agree on that, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think on pretty much every category besides maybe running back, because they have a duo, they have 2 really good running backs, I would give it to Michigan State. I mean, they have a top 10 offense, top 10 defense. But, I mean, we'll talk about the defense in a second. But I think offense, I mean, State pretty much has it sealed. I mean, besides Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins, that's really the positive light with this team. But other than that, I think I'd give everything to State. Besides the offensive line. I mean, obviously. But
No. So, okay. Well,
I would give wide receivers.
Running back, I think it's neutral.
Okay.
I'm not giving it to either side. One has an explosive back and a downhill runner. The other has a good mixture of both. But Michigan can...
They got more firepower.
They have the better O-line. They have the better combination at running back.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker may be a better running back than both. But my goodness, when you have to deal with... And Michigan State's going to have to deal with this on Saturday.
Yeah.
Corum's in the game. Well, are they running him? Are they throwing it to him out of the backfield? Screenplay? Oh, Hassan Haskins is in. Well, they're probably running it. A hard play-action play call. I mean... Michigan State's got a lot of work to do. Kenneth Walker's in. It's any moment, any time he could take it to the house. You got to worry about that if you're Michigan. So at the running back position, I'm just going to say, I'm going to call it even. I'm not going to give it to one team. O-line, I'm giving it to Michigan. Defense overall, this is a tricky one. I know Michigan State is ranked extremely high in PFF rankings. I know there are some aspects where they're really good and some where they're really bad. But I got to say, I like Michigan's defense more. I think I have question marks about Michigan State's secondary, although I don't think Michigan can take advantage of their secondary, given Cade McNamara, given their wide receivers. But I'm going to give the edge to the Michigan defense. It's 9 o'clock. We have a very special guest joining us shortly, but Kennedy, we do have to hit the break, don't we?
We do. You guys, we've got Connor Orr here with us next from Sports Illustrated. We talked about him yesterday. We went through his NFL power rankings. I'm so excited to hear what he has to say about this. We'll do that when we come back. But first, Jeff, where do you get your hair done?
Listen, I have a hat on today, but usually I'll come to Lady Jane's because they take care of you. You come into this beautiful place. Any Lady Jane's buy it for that matter. They're open 7 days a week, 10 to 8. You walk in, sign in, sit down. You get to sit in one of these comfy chairs, get a facial, whatever, and watch your favorite sports teams on the televisions. And before you leave, you're handsome and clean. So get over to Lady Jane's, like I said, 10 to 8 every single day of the week. Walk in anytime because it is wicked awesome.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Welcome back, you guys. Thanks so much. You're listening to Woodward Sports, featured on the Roar at 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. We have a very special guest with us, Connor Orr, staff writer for Sports Illustrated. We went through one of his articles yesterday on the show, had the Lions ranked at 18. So generous of him. Thank you for looking past the win column, but I know that Jeff and Adam have a lot of questions for you regarding that. So welcome, Connor. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, Connor, thanks for joining us today, man. I just want you to start off, dude, what do you see in an 0-17 that makes you, grade them 18th? Now, is it simply their head coach? Is it how they're outperforming maybe expectations? Is it the quarterback? I don't think it's the quarterback. Kind of walk me through first your grading process for this ranking. How did you come about this, and how did the Lions fall so gracefully to 18?
Well, I just think, part of this, obviously, you try to bring a sense of humor to the power rankings. We do these a lot, and I think that they generate a lot of discussion and a lot of fighting. But the reality of the situation is this. I've been covering the league now for 13 years, and I've never seen a coach quite like Dan Campbell. I've never seen a coach willing to call out his quarterback. I've never seen a coach wear his emotions on his sleeve quite like that. And I think that even if you're not winning, especially if you're not supposed to be winning, right? This is not a good roster. I think that there's something really healthy from an organizational standpoint at having a guy just come out and say what Dan Campbell has been saying on a regular basis. And, Detroit used to be one of those cities that nobody wanted to go to, nobody wanted to play at. And I think that that's changing, and we'll see that for sure during free agency this coming year. But I think he's putting them in a healthier place, and certainly I'd rather be a rookie on the Lions right now than maybe the Bears, or another team that maybe the record is slightly better, but that ship is sinking and not kind of getting up to port.
No, it's really well said. And I'm going to ask you something. Thank you for joining us, Connor, by the way. It's awesome to meet you. I want to ask you about Jared Goff, because we talked about Dan Campbell and how you did mention he did call out Jared Goff multiple times. But with the Lions being winless, a lot of the blame seems to be falling on Jared Goff's shoulders, partially because of his turnovers and also his inability to really make the correct reads. But what do you make of his play so far, 7 games into the season, and possibly your thoughts on his future in Detroit?
Well, I don't know what we expected going in. I think he was always supposed to be a bridge to whatever made sense in the future. And if you look at Jared, his best seasons have always been in that situation with Sean McVay where, and I know it's platitude to say this, but, a guy who gets a lot of stuff diagnosed for him, in the headset before the snap. The Patriots took advantage of that in the Super Bowl. It's one of the reasons they lost that game. But, he's always kind of been this quarterback. And I'm not saying there's not room to grow. There's certainly arm talent there, but I don't know what else we kind of expected out of him. I kind of expected a middle-of-the-road quarterback this year. He has a middle-of-the-road talent set. He has an okay offensive line, but and a pretty good play caller. But, I don't really know what else we would have expected. As the Lions can say what they want about the situation moving forward, and maybe they hoped that Anthony Lynn could unlock something there. But I think the reality of the situation is they were always comfortable with the idea that, he was kind of going to hold the fort down until they could find the real solution.
Well, I think, Connor, what strikes me most is this franchise was set back at minimum 5 years after the last draft of Quinn-Patricia. Obviously, they took Jeff Okuda, number 3 overall. He's been available 10 out of the possible, 34, 33 games. I mean, at this point, he is a bust. They're not going to recover from it. They do need time. But unfortunately, I disagree. Maybe my Twitter feed is just a bunch of slappy Lions fans. I don't know, but people genuinely believe that because Jared Goff walked into the situation with a history of playoff wins, with a history of a Super Bowl appearance, that would simply translate, and I don't believe that was ever the case, and I think me and you are on the same page. But I want to ask you about Dan Campbell, and I will be very, very straightforward with you on this. I've never seen a coach like him either, but I don't know how comforting that is for me. Is he a cavalier? Are the Lions an organization that is even allowed or should be considering trying to do something pioneer-esque, where they bring in, let's say, the next Bill Parcells potentially? Like, are they even capable of this? And I know you've been covering the league for a while, but kind of walk me through the Lions rebuild scenario, and then you compare it to San Francisco when Kyle Shanahan took over. Matt Rule, to an extent, in Carolina right now. I understand they've lost 4 straight, but still, you've seen what they've done in the draft. Los Angeles, out in LA, the Chargers. The 4 straight drafts of Darwin James, Joey Bosa, follow it up with Herbert, then you follow it up with Rashawn Slater and Asante Samuel Jr. I mean, I don't think it's so much just on the head coach, but what do you see in Dan Campbell outside of this charisma, this character? Where does the team organizationally really take that next step where they can become not just a good franchise, but, over the next 10, 15 years, they become a respectable, good, elite franchise?
Well, I mean, a lot of that's going to have to do with his relationship with the front office, right? I think that every coach that we've seen succeed finds some kind of harmony with the GM, and they're able to clearly explain what they want in terms of talent, and the personnel department is able to deliver. And I think the best example of that I've seen over the last 5 years is probably what's happening in Cleveland right now, where, people used to make fun of the meetings, but Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Barry meet 2 or 3 times a day. Their offices are right next to each other. They have to see each other, when they're on their way to the water cooler. And that's all by design, right? To force this sort of relationship, this bond. And it's working out for them. I think they're getting a pipeline of good players. And in Detroit, I think it's up to them to build that relationship. But I will say this, I think that they're going to do a better job of cultivating the talent because they have a better coach that is able to deal with players. And, I think the one thing that just keeps sticking in my mind over the last 10, 15 years, and, I did a deep dive on Gruden before he started in LA again, or Las Vegas again. And one of the biggest gripes about him was that you never knew where you stood with him. And that irked a lot of players, right? There was, a couple guys that said that we love John Gruden and that we would do anything for John Gruden. But there was a lot of other guys that were like, every time he said something to me, I wasn't sure he was leaving the building and saying something completely different about me. And, these guys at the end of the day need to feel secure. They need to feel like they're being told the truth. They have families and kids and wives just like all of the rest of us. And so I think that having a coach saying, yeah, you're not playing well, or, I'm going to do everything I can for you, and he's out there bawling his eyes out, at least there's some element of belief there. And I think that that's original, and it might be cavalier, but, I think that you kind of needed to make a bold choice to get out of there, because the unbold choice was to hire the Patriots assistant. And how many times have we seen that just sort of come back to bite you as a franchise?
Absolutely. Connor, my last question for you would be regarding other team situations. You've seen the mold. Dan Campbell as a head coach, how do you see him playing out? I know it's a bit early, but just from, as a historian of the game, covering it for so long, understanding how things work, is he the Freddie Kitchens to a Cleveland Brown organization? Is he the Hugh Jackson, or is he the Kevin Stefanski? I'm still on the fence. I don't know what he does great outside of communicate, and that's really concerning for me. But for Lions fans that listen in heavily to the show, what do you see in Dan Campbell outside of the charisma that separates him week to week against other head coaches? What's the coaching advantage you get with Dan Campbell? And if there isn't one, does that concern you?
Well, I like the aggressiveness. I did a piece a couple weeks ago on how there was a couple smart coaches in the NFL that were reframing, for example, fourth down decision making, right? And Dan Campbell goes for it more than I think every other coach but Kevin Stefanski in the NFL. And so I think what he does well as a CEO type, right, is blend the analytics with the football language. And so, we've seen coaches wash out, for example, when they say things like, well, this is what the sheet told us to do. This is what the numbers told us to do. And Dan Campbell, like Brandon Staley, and, like a couple other coaches who are kind of on that new wave of this are saying, no, I'm not going for it on fourth down because this mathematician in my ear is telling me to go for it. I'm going for it because I believe in you, and there's this huge, like, sort of little marketing shift there in the NFL, but a couple of smart coaches got that and picked up on that. And I don't think you need Dan Campbell to be an offensive guru. I don't think you want him to be an offensive guru. I think that he hired some pretty good assistants. Anthony Lynn has a great track record, for example. Him identifying Anthony Lynn gives me confidence, right? Because you look back at the rise of Justin Herbert, and, you could place that sort of his rise on whoever's shoulders you want. But the fact of the matter is, in talking to plenty of people who know this, like, Anthony Lynn got him ready to play on no reps when Tyrod Taylor got hurt, and that guy won Rookie of the Year. And so I think that he delegates well. He picks coaches well. Even 7 games into this season, players are coming out. And what did Swift do after he scored that long touchdown the other day? He, like, shushed the crowd. And you're facing the best team in the NFL. Like, the confidence that you have on your players is pretty incredible. So I think that all kind of leads me to believe that I think he's going to be okay. And you say, is he Freddie Kitchens? No, I think the ceiling is probably a Mike Vrabel, right? I mean, that's how Mike Vrabel started to operate in Tennessee, but he had a way better roster and a more established GM when he walked into that job. And I think that, once he gets that going, I think that could be the ceiling for Dan Campbell.
Fair enough. Connor, I'm sorry, one more question, if you don't mind, before you go. Speaking of the GM, Brad Holmes, what do you make of him so far? We're 7 games into his first draft class. I know some of them are injured. What are your thoughts on overall how he performed in the draft, how the players are now translating to the game, and what you think he needs to do to overhaul this roster in the upcoming draft?
Well, it's going to be interesting, right? Because I think that he's got to show us who he is. And if you come from LA, which has been sort of an executive factory over the last few years, Les Snead is building a team in a way that we've never seen before, just with a complete disregard for draft equity, right? And if you're, if you're in Detroit, you almost need the opposite of that, right? You need extra draft equity. You need too much draft equity. And so it's going to be interesting to see how he shortcuts this process, because he's not going to have 5 years. Nobody's going to get 5 years in the NFL to fix this. He's going to get 3 at best. And so how do you sort of short circuit this? How do you find some ways around this? How do you inject the roster with talent now? And how do you solve the quarterback situation? And so until any of that stuff is even addressed, I think, Penei Sewell was the right pick there. As good as Jamar Chase was, I was pounding the table for him. I thought he was a better prospect. It kind of looks silly now, obviously. But, I think that was the right thing to do for that team in the moment, because now if you draft a quarterback next year, I think you're better prepared. But so I think he's doing a good job. I think it's just a matter of, we don't really know who he is yet. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see what he does once his back is up against the wall a little bit.
All right. Well, Connor Orr, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. It was a great interview. Thank you so much. We'd love to have you on again whenever you're available. We'll catch up maybe later on in the season, see how this continues to play out. But we will stay in touch. We'll exchange numbers after. I'll have Kennedy reach out. But thank you so much again. It was a pleasure, and we'll catch up soon. Okay, man?
All right. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Connor. Awesome. 13 years covering the NFL. That is so impressive.
I really liked his point about the Cleveland situation.
Yeah.
That was,
great.
That's actually
Good
a very
stuff.
good example. I really appreciated that.
All right, when we come back, we'll hit our top 10 college football rankings. But before we go, we need to hear about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy.
Guys, let's talk about Underdog Fantasy. The NFL is underway, but you can still draft a new fantasy team each and every week on the Underdog Fantasy app to win cash prizes through their slick mobile app and or their user-friendly website. You can join a league and draft a team within minutes. Plus, when you make your first deposit and sign up using code WSN, they will give you a free $10. So just visit UnderdogFantasy.com or the Apple Store or Google Play Store and download their app. Sign up again today using code WSN. Deposit $10. They'll give you a free $10. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code WSN.
You'll be dying to get your hands on Papa Romano's gruesome twosome. This spectacular deal gets you 2 large one-topping pizzas for a limited time for $19.99. Order now at paparomanos.com.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back, everyone. You're tuned into the Morning Woodward Show on the Roar 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. Happy Thursday, everyone. As promised, we will be getting into our top 10 college football rankings. I'm sure you guys want to do the usual back and forth. So, Jeff, let's start with you.
Well, number one. We'll start with number one or
number 10. Start with number 10.
All right. So this one, it's just personal. I have Iowa at 10, and you could either have Ole Miss, Iowa. I don't know who else you got down here in the 9 and the 10, but I don't know. I like Ole Miss a lot. I like Matt Corral. I'm just a big fan of him, and so you know what? I'm going 10 Iowa. We'll swap them.
10 Iowa. Okay, so number 10, I am gonna put Wake Forest. 7-0 undefeated ACC team. I think they're not getting enough respect. The fact that Notre Dame is above them really pisses me off. So this is me just trying to find a way to get Notre Dame out. So I'm going to do Wake Forest at number 10. Number 9 on mine will be Ole Miss. 100%. I'm all in on Ole Miss.
So we
agree
agree
they're
there.
doing great.
That's my 9.
Yeah, I think they're doing a great job. Lane Kiffin, great quarterback. Season's looking good. So number 9 for you, Jeff.
It would be Ole Miss. I agree with you.
Same?
Yeah, I felt the same. I was going to put them at 10 and put Iowa at 9. I'll put Ole Miss at 9. They've been great. I mean, the only loss they had was against Alabama, and they still put up 20-something points. Matt Corral played great. So
awesome.
Yeah, we agree there.
All right, number 8. I think we're going to completely disagree here, but go ahead.
Well,
you're not ready for my number 8.
Oh God. It's I kind of like Michigan State staying at 8. I mean, I don't have a problem with it because the more I really dove into it, the next couple teams ahead of them we'll get into, and it'll make sense why I have them at 8. But yeah, I'm leaving Michigan State just around. 7, 8. That's kind of where I like them. And,
nope.
Where do you have them?
I don't have Michigan State at 8. I have Cincinnati at number 8.
Oh yeah, they're down for me. But
Cincinnati are 8 for me.
Oh, so you have them below all Michigan? I love it. I love it.
I'm so serious.
I love it. No, you're right.
Cincinnati, I don't care if they're undefeated. They've beaten potatoes all year, and Notre Dame is a potato program, so we're not even going to consider it. Cincinnati, number 8 on my list. Number 7, Michigan State. Michigan State, well deserving of the number 7. Although, it's kind of funny. You look at these teams, you're like, that's not the 7th best team in the nation, and I don't think State is. But you know what? Damn, they've proven that they should at least be in the top 12, 15 for that matter. But they're undefeated. I'm going to give them number 7 on my list. Jeff?
So I had Cincinnati right after Michigan State because I wasn't sure. I wanted to put State above Cincinnati, but we talk about State playing really above their means and just overachieving this year. And like you said, if they lose to Michigan, they've known they have a great season. So I have Michigan State. I have Cincinnati just in front of them. I mean, you could swap them like Adam did. Either way. But the next 7 teams ahead of them, I can't really move around. So I'm going Cincinnati, just one spot in front of Michigan State. It's very close. But they're about to fall behind State in a couple games, so we'll see.
All right, so I had State at 7, obviously. Number 6 is where it gets interesting, guys. Oklahoma. Oklahoma undefeated, I think, is the worst undefeated team I've seen in years. I'm not interested. I know Caleb Williams has stepped in, but you don't go on the road. You don't go on the road to Kansas and it be a dogfight. Unbelievable. And they were honestly a bad snap, an unlucky fumble, and a really, really poor tackling away, especially on that 4th and 1 call where Caleb took it to the house. I mean, they've just played below their standard all year. I'm not interested in having them in my top 4. So I've got Oklahoma at number 6 in my top 10 teams in college football right now.
So I'm going next. I'm going to have to go with I have Oregon. And listen, as much Oregon, they beat Ohio State, and they deserve to be in this. But I don't know. Other than that, I haven't really seen. I mean, Oregon's a good team, but they're going to be in my top 6. So I have Oregon there.
I got Oregon out of the top 10, and I really wanted to put them somewhere between 9 and 8, or at least 10.
Yeah.
But you know what? A really bad loss to Stanford. They've dealt with injuries. They've won their games since, but I'm not sold on their wide receiver. They can't throw the football.
True.
So I don't know how I should put this team as a top 5 team, and I'm not for it at all. So number 6, I had Oklahoma. Here we go, top 5 time. Number 5, Michigan football. Michigan football is number 5 in the nation right now. I don't think it's a question. If you want to say, well, put them against Oklahoma, against Cincinnati, okay. But this is not what top 10s are about. If it's about head-to-heads, I mean, I could take Kentucky and probably they could beat Cincinnati. And Kentucky's all the way down at 12 right now. So let's not do this. All right, number 5, Michigan football, 7-0. After this week, we'll know how legit Michigan and Michigan State are. So it all comes down to this weekend for both programs this year. So number 5, I've got Michigan.
So in my top now, what am I on 5
You're
now?
on 5
We're on
right
5.
now,
Okay,
yep.
so I'm gonna go Oklahoma. I think. I mean, a lot of people have them top 4.
So where's Michigan? Top 4?
Yeah, I have them one above because
wow.
I think they're better than Oklahoma. So I have Oklahoma at
Well,
this.
I had Oklahoma so low though. I had them at 6.
True.
But it's
like
okay.
I couldn't put Michigan behind Oklahoma. I just can't because Michigan's a more complete team on both sides of the ball. So I like Michigan. I'll give them the a top 5 spot because they're taking Oregon and Oklahoma spot. I'm moving them down. So Michigan's top 5 for me, and we'll see that after this weekend. But as of right now, they've played good. I mean, they've struggled, but it all goes back really to Cade McNamara and missing Ronnie Bell. So
all right,
I'll leave
go ahead and reveal your top 4.
So 4, this is how I roll. So I got Georgia at number 1, Alabama at 2, Cincinnati. I don't know what people are seeing them at number 2. Besides the one loss, 3, Ohio State, and then 4 and 5, what I guess would be essentially Michigan and then Oklahoma. Because I have Oklahoma 4? After Michigan, yeah.
Okay.
So,
you had Michigan 4,
yeah,
Oklahoma 5.
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah.
Okay. Number 1, Georgia.
Okay.
Number 2, Ohio State.
Oh, okay.
Ohio State, number 2.
All right.
Number 3, Alabama. And I got to make the argument for this team. I told you I wanted to have them in my top 10. It's very difficult. They don't throw the football that well. But I also have to acknowledge their strength of schedule. And it was a significant win over Ohio State. And that was with them missing their best player. Multiple, actually. They missed 2 big starters, one being the top
So you're changing your mind?
So, well, I didn't want to have them in the top 5. I didn't know where to put them. I told you I wanted to put them between 9 and 8, but Oregon's going to shoot up to number 4 for me. I think they're deserving of it. Okay. Although I don't think they translate. I think 2 weeks from now they're probably out of the top 10. But I just think right now they got to be 4. That win over Ohio State is a big deal, yeah. And I'm not ready to put 2 Big Ten teams in the top 4. So that's my case. So those are my top 4 teams.
I respect it. I respect it. Yeah.
All right, Kennedy, I have a question for you. Notre Dame in the AP poll is ranked 11th. I think they should be out of the AP poll. I don't think they should be ranked at all. I think they're one of the worst teams in college football.
You think they're worse than 25?
I think they're like 50th in the nation.
You're
right
an
now.
Idiot.
So defend your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Go ahead.
Or you're just giving me the
floor. Should they be in the top 10? I'm giving you the floor.
Top 10, I'm not sure. Obviously, we lost to Cincinnati. I think we would lose
to every team in the AP top 25.
They've already beaten teams that are there anyway. But
oh, that's right. You don't schedule teams that are ranked. I forgot.
Are we done? Are we done? No, I mean, it's tough. We're kind of in a weird quarterback situation right now. I mean, when I was at the game last weekend, we were like flopping quarterbacks like every other play. It wouldn't even make sense. I would look and someone else would be in, and I was very confused, but whatever. I'm not a fan of 2 quarterback systems in general. I like to just have one guy plays all the snaps unless he's injured. Just make it cut and dry, clear. But here we are, 2 quarterbacks. We're figuring it out. I obviously miss Ian Book. I think we're missing like a Liam Eichenberg on our O-line. It's a little bit more depleted than it was last year. Obviously, Liam's with the Dolphins now. Congrats, but I miss you. Yeah, I mean, there's a few holes, but
a few
quarterback,
O-line,
a few
secondary,
a few
outside of Kyle Hamilton.
I was going to say, watch your mouth, but when
So sassy.
Kyle Hamilton hurt, unfortunately, saw him go down last game. But the corner that came in the safety, that came in and took his spot, like in a few plays, was all the way interception all the way down the field. So I was like, maybe
I hate Notre Dame.
Maybe Notre Dame DBs are just where it's at.
No.
Yeah.
No, after Manti, I've lost all faith in Notre Dame. He catfished the NFL. First round draft pick, couldn't make a tackle. No.
Okay.
I gave up on
anyway.
Notre Dame after Manti. After they lost, 44-0 in the national championship game? Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Sorry, Kennedy.
Anyway, I think they're rightfully at 11. I think 11 is a good spot for them.
They should be anywhere between 31 and 51, but that's just me. What do I know?
Okay, who's under them that you think should be
San Diego
above them?
State?
You really want me to bring this up?
I do.
Yes.
I do. I
Okay.
honestly do.
Let me pull up the AP Top 25. I'm going to
Okay,
tell you
go ahead.
exactly who I think is
Go
a better
ahead.
football team than Notre Dame.
Mhm.
All right?
Not Brady Hoke,
I
San
can
Diego
already tell you
State.
before I even look at the list, Wake Forest should be above them.
Okay,
All right, so
I've been
Kentucky-
rooting for Wake Forest.
Kentucky should be above them.
No.
They barely lost to Alabama. Georgia. Their only loss is to the best team in the country, and they're 6-0 in the SEC, 6-1 in the SEC.
They're having a good year,
Wake
yes.
Forest. Texas A&M has beaten Alabama. Last I checked, Notre Dame would lose by 40 to Alabama. Oklahoma State coming off a bad loss. I'm not ready to put them over Notre
Okay, I
Dame,
was
to
gonna
be
say,
fair.
don't.
I would put Baylor over Notre Dame. I would put
No.
Pittsburgh over Notre Dame. I would put SMU over Notre Dame. I would put San Diego State over Notre Dame. I would take Iowa State over Notre Dame. I wouldn't put BYU. I wouldn't put Coastal Carolina. I wouldn't put UTSA. So they're probably 20th in the country. 21st. That's nice. I just went from 31 to 41 to 21. I'm being so generous right
You know
now.
what? When you put it that way, I guess I'll accept. But I think they're chilling. I
I'd
think
put
11,
Appalachian
12.
State over Notre Dame.
Oh, no.
Adam,
What?
I don't like you right now. I don't.
UCLA, I could make the argument.
Do it. You're making me mad. You know what I did see yesterday was some BS tweet saying that Brian Kelly might go to USC.
I don't think so. I think he has one of the best jobs in the country. It's from a stability standpoint. He's going to be there another 10, 15 years. He'll go down as one of the best Notre Dame head coaches of all time. He'll rack up all the records. I mean, look, whether you like Notre Dame or not, that's a good program. And I think they would be an even better program if they just stopped being independent. But they would lose their ability to win 10 games every year. I think they're a 7-8 win team every year if they go join a conference. So
Maybe they will soon. I don't know.
they lose that cachet if they only win 6, 7, 8 games a year.
Yeah, tough beat for Notre Dame in that. I literally don't have answers when people come at me with that because I don't know. I just don't know. But you guys, coming up next, we will be going through the potential trade options, or the most riveting ones, I suppose, before the November 2nd deadline. All of that coming up next. But before we go, who are you calling tonight, Jeff? It's Thursday Night Football.
It is. It's Thursday Night Football, and you know where to go. If you get your pizza, you go to Papa Romano's because they just came out with this new great deal. It's Gruesome Twosome Halloween Special. It's 2 large, 1-topping pepperoni pizzas, or any pizza for that matter, for $19.99. And this offer extends all the way to the end of the month. And, you know, whether it's now, whether it's Saturday on College game day, or it's Sunday for NFL football, you go to Papa Romano's and get your 2 large, 1-topping pizzas, a.k.a. the Gruesome Twosome, from Papa Romano's today.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out with us right here on the Woodward Sports Network. You're tuned into the Morning Woodward Show. You guys, the Lions have some potential options heading into or before the November 2nd deadline. Fish, I gotta love you in all of your your antics, buddy. But anyway, I'm going to go through all of these people for you. Let me know, should we be interested in any of them? I feel like I know we've done a few of these. Yes, from a Lions standpoint. So at one of the ones they can consider, which I might be down with this. Calvin Ridley, wide receiver for the Falcons.
There's no way they
pay him over an $11 million deal.
How?
Which is
what would you have to give up to get a Calvin Ridley?
Why would Atlanta give him up? That would be like the question. Why would Atlanta give him up?
Yeah, I don't. Really? They're speculating.
Yeah, it says Ridley is under contract through 2022 on his $11 million fifth-year option.
I don't know if I like that. Again, the team's not a player away from being good, and Jared Goff is the quarterback. So,
right.
I mean, that's not going to help Calvin Ridley at all.
And you trade away Julio Jones. Now you trade away your number one now, the guy you're supposed to take over.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. If I'm the Lions, I'm not going after Calvin Ridley. I'm not willing to give up draft capital. I know I need 7-8 players on this team. Calvin Ridley doesn't overcompensate for all that. Now, if you're telling me you were getting a franchise quarterback, well, okay, then we can talk about giving up draft capital, but you're not. It's a wide receiver. I'm not
Jared Goff's throwing Calvin Ridley the ball,
which means he's not throwing it to him.
There's another wide receiver on the list. He's already familiar with Jared Goff coming off the 2020 season. Caught 52 passes for the Rams. Josh Reynolds, wide receiver for the Titans. No thoughts.
No, it's tricky. I mean,
I don't mind the Flyers.
I mean, you did this with Trinity Benson.
Yep.
No, I'm not interested in trading for a wide receiver in general. Doesn't matter who they are. I don't think they're worth it. I don't think they're worth a fifth, a fourth, even anything later than that. It's just not worth it. It's not at all. So I'm going to pass on Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, I see your point. I mean, unless it's like a defensive player that you can grab on a contract and you can
a
start
guy
at
with like
safety
1
for
year
you.
left and he's on his next year's his contract year and you want to take him for a 6th round pick, but he's an immediate contributor, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, but I agree with you. You could get one of these guys in the draft, like a Josh Reynolds. You could find late in the first or second round. So
even later, I think you get him in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. Doesn't matter.
True.
Well, we talk about it all the time. Our secondary, pretty depleted. Grady Williams from the Browns. Obviously, the first thing that jumps out to me about this guy is his durability. It could be an Okuda Jr., you know what I mean? So, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't he a 1st-round pick for Cleveland or early 2nd?
What was the name?
I don't
Grady
remember.
Williams.
Oh, yes. Former out of LSU. He's a big playmaker. You know, he was able to get interceptions and turnovers. But yeah, like
2nd round pick.
Second round pick.
Missed all of last year, yeah.
Because I remember he fell in the draft.
That's
second
damaged
round.
goods.
Damaged goods. That's a good word.
Not interested. I don't want him. Don't need him. I already have a guy coming off an Achilles injury that's already a bust. So, no, I'd rather draft one. I'd rather draft one, or I'd rather sign a veteran free agent.
And he hasn't been as healthy. I mean, even last year he missed 4 games. I don't need another Akuda.
And he's not even making. It's not like he's
making
impacting
plays.
The team. I mean, and he's not available. So no, not interested.
All right, next, a player Holmes played a predominant role in drafting. Terrell Burgess from the Rams.
No, just no.
No.
Again,
Okay.
like I feel like these are just.
Like
these are moves you're going to make. I just don't see the Lions giving up draft capital. So whether it was Greedy Williams, this guy, or even a talented wide receiver maybe around the league. Even if you were trying to, let's say, go grab who's a good number 2 in the NFL that maybe isn't getting enough love. I don't know. The point is, I don't think the Lions are giving up draft capital. So I'm going to say no to all this.
Okay. One more. I've seen this one a lot, actually. Michael Gallup, wide receiver for the Cowboys.
Hell no. Hell no. Hell to the no. No, 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 no.
But he could be really affordable.
And he can be really not in Detroit.
Okay.
Just no.
I'm trying to.
No, absolutely not. No. Just no.
Okay, well, here's one
me.
I'm a fan of, though. Brandon Ayuk, 49ers.
He's a zombie.
Okay.
He hasn't gotten a target in like 3 weeks, I think.
And there's like John
not
Lynch
bad.
saying things about him. Like, I don't like when upper management is questioning your ability to play hard. I'm not.
I'll take a hard pass. Just sign Fish as wide receiver. I'll take that. Honestly, anything over that.
All right, well, I heard you guys talking during the break. Just do what you want to do. Do what you want to do.
Jeff, you can start this off.
All right, listen. What we saw last night, the Lakers, they've been struggling to start the season. They're old. We know this, and they faced a young Thunder team that looked lost in the first quarter. Obviously, if you're watching the game, they were down 41-19. The Lakers were up, And with LeBron out, it was the Russell Westbrook show, which we all know Adam is a big fan of.
Russell Westbrook may be the greatest point guard in the history of the NBA. Nobody can tell me otherwise, right? I mean, let's just start.
Wait,
with
question.
Go
the
ahead.
Thunder were like us.
They were
10-1, right?
They were winless.
Okay.
Got their first
winless.
win.
Okay.
last night.
Wow. Okay. Keep going. Sorry.
So let me tell you about this amazing player that Russell Westbrook is, right? So this guy is unbelievable. I mean, first let's start with the points. He put up 20 points on an efficient 8 of 20 from the field. He had 14 rebounds for a point guard. 14 rebounds, led the team, and of course he led the team in assists. 13 assists. My gosh, the unbelievable the talent he has. And then he had 10 turnovers. Oh, it's okay. It's Russell Westbrook. It's okay. Like you expect that. And his plus minus of the starters was the worst, minus 12 on the team. This guy sucks. That doesn't translate to wins. This was a horrible signing, a horrible trade.
Yeah.
Didn't do them any good. They got rid of all the shooters. Now when LeBron drives into the paint, he's got to dish out to Russell Westbrook.
Who airballs.
The guy that went, 2 of 8 last night from 3. There you go. Probably shooting sub 30% from the three-point line this year. A horrible career three-point shooter.
Yep.
But he got a triple-double. He got a triple-double, guys. That's all that matters. He got that triple-double. He can give you 2 middle fingers. He doesn't care. He put up the numbers. That's Russell Westbrook. Congratulations, Los Angeles. You are going to suck and do nothing for the next season and a half, 2 years. Depends how long you want to keep him. I don't know what to say about Russell Westbrook. This makes me upset because, to be honest, I think he's awful. I don't think he's great. He's an all-star. He's not a star. He's not a superstar.
Yeah. And we can
I
acknowledge.
don't care that he won an MVP. You can. That was a feel-good story.
Yeah.
His best friend had left OKC. Paul George comes into town. He leads them to the 7th seed. And he wins the MVP because he averaged a triple-double first time since Oscar Robinson. Congratulations. Wow, that was a feel-good MVP. People felt bad for you. And look at you now, Brody. Look at you now. You're useless. You don't translate to wins.
And he was ejected last night. So
was he?
Yeah.
Good.
So you're essentially, I mean, I don't know. It's a guy
who... The guy sucks. And I'm tired of the Russell Westbrook apologists are very similar to the Detroit Lions apologists and how they apologize for Sheila Ford, for Dan Campbell, for the organization that's brought you nothing for 60 years. Russell Westbrook has brought you nothing his entire career. He peaked year 3-4 when they made it to the finals with OKC, when he had James Harden coming off the bench and of course Kevin Durant. That's when he peaked. That's when he was like a really good ball player.
And he didn't care for triple doubles.
And he got worse, and it was just a stat me guy. And he plays with high energy, high motor. It's all great. Doesn't translate to wins. You couldn't pay me. You couldn't pay me $10 million a year, personally, to have Russell Westbrook on my basketball team. I would rather have no basketball team. I would rather Fish be my starting point guard than a Russell Westbrook.
You know what's even worse than all? Everything you said is true. But you know what's even worse? The guy's shooting 47% from free throw range. Like a free throw percentage is 47%. It's actually remarkable what he's able to do. like you could, like we talk about history of him making triple doubles. Like I respect the talent of Russell Westbrook. He plays hard 24/7 and all that. I respect it. But the reality is, it's hard to win with this guy on a team full of superstars. He's not an unselfish, like LeBron you could put with a lot of guys, anyone. I mean, LeBron can play with anybody. It's because he's unselfish. I mean, Russell Westbrook's the complete opposite. He has the ball in his hands. I mean, he's led the league in usage percentage multiple years. I mean, the guy has the ball in his hands constantly. And when the Lakers acquired Russell Westbrook, I picked them to go to the finals, but I thought it'd be more LeBron-centric. Russell just stayed to the side. I mean, the first, 4 games, Russell's turned the ball over so much. And I said that. I was worried. I said my only worry with the Lakers team is, number one, their age, because they can't play good defense. I mean, they gave up 123 to the dang Oklahoma City Thunder. But the other thing is Russell Westbrook. I mean, his recklessness, like Adam said, he can't shoot the ball. He's getting older, so he's slowing down on defense. And he can't shoot free throws. Like, what value? Like, if you could look at me with a straight face and say Russell Westbrook brings something.
Don't say that. Don't you dare.
What?
He gets triple doubles.
Okay. He gets quadruple doubles.
Shut the hell up, Jeff.
He gets quadruple doubles.
No, shut up. He gets triple doubles. He's valuable. Kennedy. What do we do here?
Don't ask me.
I'm not sure how you feel about Russell Westbrook, but
I don't feel anything about
anybody.
anyone.
All right, good. I'm happy for you.
Yeah,
Love me first, right?
Yes.
I'm all for it.
All right, you guys.
We got to transition.
We
real
do.
Quick. J.J. Watt looks like he's going to miss the season.
Mm-hmm.
Shoulder surgery. Jeff, what does that do for Arizona?
Well, it definitely, I mean, you got J.J. Watt. He's going to bring attention anywhere J.J. Watt is. He only has 1 sack on the season. So in terms of getting after the quarterback, I don't know if missing him will do a whole lot. I mean, Chandler Jones is getting activated. You're getting your other linebackers back and some of your defensive ends. So it's going to help Arizona. I just think J.J. Watt, when he signed there, I mean, he was already struggling to stay healthy. And then now on an Arizona team, which he doesn't have to take as many snaps, and he's still getting injured. So that's what worries me about J.J. Watt. I mean, I'm not surprised he's missing the whole season. I think the Cardinals, their defense has always been great this year. It's been very consistent, and you can, count that on guys like J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones. But, it's going to be tough on him regardless. I mean, using a guy like J.J. Watt, a leader, I mean, in the locker room, it is tough. But in terms of production, he's struggled to really produce this year. So it's not going to affect him, I don't think, too much.
You guys, I want to get back on track to the Lions. Sheila Ford Hamp had quite the interesting interview with Dave Burkett a few days ago. I want to read some of these quotes from her to you guys and get your thoughts on them. So basically, she had a message for what she calls the fabulous Lions fans. She said, "We have fabulous fans. All I know is they've stuck with us together forever through thick and thin and a lot of thin. It's been hard, so I agree this year is a rebuild and it's painful. We knew it was going to be hard, but it's hard to lose. No one likes to lose. I hate to lose, but we are all working on things, and I think we've got a good path."
She doesn't know
I like
hate
Sheila.
Her.
I know.
I don't like her at all.
Sheila tries.
She tries way too hard. She doesn't know how to talk, first of all. Second of all, excuse you? Excuse you? You don't like losing? What the hell has been happening since you were born? You ever thought to knock on mom and dad's door? Hey, we suck. And I think what pisses me off most about that interview is that she told Dave Burkett, you have to understand, we were left in a really bad position from Quinn-Patricia.
Yep.
Excuse me? Lady, you were being groomed to take over the team months prior to the decision to put them on the hot seat. You were part of all those conversations, and you Lions apologists, don't you dare sit here and tell me that she wasn't in those meetings, she wasn't in there helping make decisions. Just because Martha was still at the top, it was clear. Go back and read all the reports. Sheila was getting groomed and ready to take over from Martha. And what'd she do? She sat up there with her mother and Rod Wood, and you know what they did? They told Quinn-Patricia, you got to win this year. Not, you got to take a quarterback and set our franchise up for the next 10, 15 years. No. Not, you got to trade back, get draft capital so we can really rebuild this team. Because last I checked, why would a football team have a number 3 overall pick? Can somebody help me?
They're bad.
Sucked.
Oh, they suck. Wait, so if they suck and they have the number 3 overall pick, how do you expect them to win 11 games and keep their jobs? What the hell? Sheila, shut up.
Okay.
Like, I want her to be different from the standpoint that I want her to come out publicly talk. But God, she just pisses me off every time she talks.
Listen.
What do?
Listen. I
don't want to listen to her.
No, I'm gonna make you. One decision that I liked that Sheila made was bringing in Chris Spielman. Do you like it?
What does that have to do?
Listen, okay.
He's a consultant. My goodness,
I
guys.
think he's a good one.
Guys.
She's
it's
trying.
It's not about if she had final say. She was being groomed. You're telling me that let's say I'm in an executive position and I'm ready to take over for the owner. That I'm not sitting with him and saying, hey, like, look, man, you're about to make a decision with Quinn and Patricia that's going to put me in a bad spot. Because we don't trust them already, and you're going to give them the rights to the number 3 overall draft pick. You got to step the hell up and say something. And everybody in Detroit was calling for Quinn and Patricia to be gone. Do not allow them to pick number 3 overall. And you sat up there and you allowed it to happen. You don't get to say, well, we were left in a bad spot. No, you were part of the reason you have what you have now. You are part of the reason the franchise was set back another 5 years. Excuse me. You do not get to say that.
And she takes credibility for it. So
no, she doesn't.
Listen.
No, she doesn't.
Let me read her
Read
quote.
it. She doesn't.
She said, and I quote, when she was asked about being booed by Lions fans, she said, I think it's a stupid thing to do is try and hide because I don't feel like I need to hide. I wouldn't be talking to you if I felt like I need to hide. I don't want to hide. It's part of what I'm trying to change around here, which is the open, communicative culture, and I'm happy to be a part of it. As Chris Spielman said, you started all this. It's true, and I want to live it. I'm happy to answer any questions and take the arrows. Someone has to, and it's
Guys,
fine.
I love the fact that she's coming out and she wants to talk to everybody. Kumbaya, I don't give a man.
Watch your
Guys,
mouth.
Please pay attention right now. Sheila Ford is the same person that sat in those conference rooms and those meetings and said, we're going to allow Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia to decide the next 10 to 15 years of our franchise. And you knew you didn't have the roster. And you knew Stafford was likely on his way out. And you allowed them to pick number 3 overall. They took a corner. No. You don't get to come out and say, well, now I'm changing it, when you were being groomed from the start, when it was all going down. You could have sat up in those meetings and said, hey, Ma, no. If we let these guys pick and they mess up, it's going to set us back and I'm going to take over a really bad situation. We can't allow this to happen. That we need to move on from them now. Or we make the decision on the pick like Baltimore did with Lamar Jackson. That's what you do. And it doesn't take hindsight to figure that out. That's your job as the owner and leader of a company. And it starts with you always. You allowed Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia to make that call and that pick. You allowed your franchise to get set back 5 years.
But
you can't have it both ways.
But if Quinn-Patricia did not pick, you're saying the Fords would have picked the...
No. I'm not saying they would have. They should have. A, taken control of that pick. Or B, gotten rid of Quinn-Patricia. Not, we need to see improvement playoffs this year. How? You have the number 3 overall pick. You suck for a reason. Your coach and GM are part of it, but the roster ain't all that great. Really? No. I'm sorry. No. This is unacceptable. You guys are not going to sit here and try to convince me that just because Sheila's a public speaker now, and that she comes out and says how fabulous you are as fans. Well, great. You're a great fan base. A fan base that's put up with 60 years of mediocrity. When are you going to get tired of it? Just because she comes out and talks to the fans, it doesn't mean anything. She should get booed every single time she shows her face. You know why? Because she was part of the conversation. When they made the decision, we're going to put Quinn-Patricia on the spot. They're on the hot seat. Who puts a head coach and GM on a hot seat going into the season? Who? That's unheard of.
Who?
And then you allowed them to pick with the number 3 overall draft pick when it was a 3-horse race at quarterback. You knew it was Burrow, Tua, and Herbert. Those were the 3 that were likely going to be taken in the top 12, 15. And instead of trading back or taking a quarterback and looking ahead to the future, you decided to draft a cornerback. Congratulations. Sheila, congratulations. I'm going to clap it up every time I see you in public. Unbelievable. We got to go to break.
All right, yeah, we do. Adam's getting a little too heated for my likings. But you guys, we're doing something new this weekend. We will be in East Lansing with Gypsy Vodka for the pregame show live for the Michigan State game. We will be at Hopcat from 10 a.m. to noon to see who takes home the Paul Bunyan Trophy. There will be Bloody Mary specials. Yum. You guys, I don't know if they do it anymore because, COVID reasons, but Hopcat has my favorite Bloody Mary bar, so the fact that there's Bloody Mary specials, you better run, not walk. There'll be giveaways and more, so come pregame with us, all your friends at Woodward Sports this Saturday. All right, we will see you after the break.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. With historically low interest rates and 5-star service, you could pay your mortgage off faster without increasing your monthly payment. Get started now at 248-308-5000 or chat with us online. Callhallfirst.com.
You'll be dying to get your hands on Papa Romano's gruesome twosome. This spectacular deal gets you 2 large one-topping pizzas for a limited time for $19.99. Order now at paparomanos.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out with us right here on the Morning Woodward Show. We've got Thursday night football tonight, you guys. Exciting. This should be a really good matchup. Packers versus Cardinals. Packers going into this game 6-1. Cards obviously 7-0. Your thoughts on the game, Jeff?
Well, you have Aaron Rodgers, who after week 1, so far, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception through his 6-game winning streak. And more importantly, they're missing Devontae Adams, and they're missing Allen Lazard, their number 2 receiver, kind of pushing into that point this season. It's going to be a big game for Robert Tonyan. If you have him in fantasy, he should put up a lot of points. Same with guys like Randall Cobb. I mean, other guys are going to get opportunities. Probably going to utilize Aaron Jones a lot more in the receiving game. Might see A.J. Dillon out there a lot more. So it's going to be a lot of mixing it up for this Green Bay offense because they're missing their wide receiver who's leading the entire league in receptions. So that's big. And if you look at the Arizona Cardinals side, they're missing J.J. Watt. Chandler Jones is back, so I think they're trying to get back healthy and full capacity. So I think the Arizona Cardinals, it is in Arizona, I believe, correct, if I'm not wrong. So it's going to be a comfortable game for Kyler Murray. I mean, he's in this MVP conversation. It's going to be a big game for him. Yeah, it is in Arizona. It's in Arizona. So it really comes down to this: the Arizona Cardinals so far have beaten good teams. They've beaten the Rams. They've played other good teams. They beat the 49ers with Trey Lance, but they still beat other good teams. So this is really their biggest test. 6-1 Packers. They're missing their wide receiver 1, but regardless, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and it's going to be a big game for Kyler Murray to kind of measure him against other quarterbacks, and more importantly, see if the Cardinals are legit, because they haven't really faced an offense this dangerous. Understandably, they're missing Devontae Adams. Keep noting that, but they haven't seen an offense this dangerous yet. So I can't wait. It's going to be good. Last time we really seen Arizona face a team like this, it was against the Rams, and they put a beat down on them. So we'll see. If I'm going to give a prediction, I think the Cardinals win by 10. I would say 28-17. We'll say. I don't know why. I'm feeling it. So I'll go 28-17. Cardinals get a W.
All right. Well, look, no Devontae Adams. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a damn problem. But I think what happens tonight is Aaron Rodgers pulls a rabbit out of the hat.
Okay.
And I think Aaron Jones really goes off. I think they really key in on him. I don't know, man. Something about tonight's game just doesn't add up for me. A 7-0 versus 6-1 matchup on Thursday night. When's the last time we've seen that? This is the greatest Thursday night football game I've ever witnessed. Great matchup, but here's the key factor. Kyler Murray, are you going to start off slow again? How's the offense going to come out? I know what I'm getting from Aaron Rodgers. What am I getting from Kyler Murray this game? Is he going to struggle the first quarter and a half and then probably a second half turn on the Jets when the game is over and score a few late touchdowns? I don't know. But I got to be honest. I'm excited for the game. Unfortunate. He still has time to test positive, though, correct? Or negative twice, correct?
I don't know. It's cutting it close because it's today.
There's still a chance. I don't think it's ruled out indefinitely.
If he plays,
he needs 2 tests within 24 hours, 2 negative tests. So we'll have to wait and see. You have the Cardinals pulling it out?
Yes, and this is another reason why. Jair Alexander hasn't really been there all year for the Packers. He's still out, so secondary's taking a hurt. You got Kevin King guarding your best guys, so we'll see. But, yeah, to your point, he could make it. I got to see the updates on really Devontae Adams and how it's coming along with his test, but I have the Cardinals coming out. If Devontae Adams misses, it says Green Bay Packers plays, Allen Lazard's going to be out too, so it'll be interesting. I got the Cardinals winning, though. The score, you can pick whatever score you want. I think they'll win by 7 to 10 points. I mean, it's not going to be a blowout, but they'll get it done. Maybe by 3. I mean, it could be close.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to sneak this one out. I think it's a statement win, and you know what? If Arizona does pull it off, that's a statement win for them,
Either
too.
one, yeah.
Either way, one team is walking away like, we're the real freaking deal. How about now?
Yep.
And it'll be the Packers if they win, and they'll be like, the game one was an anomaly. No. We're here to go to the NFC Championship game again. And if the Cardinals win, we're not fake. We're not a fake 7-0 team. What are you talking about? We've got a legit defense. We got Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins on offense. We're dynamic. We got this. So I'm looking forward to the game. People won't stop talking about my Sheila comments. Guys, you're missing the point here. You know what I wanted in 2019, to be honest? before the draft, I wanted Quinn and Patricia to be fired. Forget hindsight. I'm being as honest as I've ever been with you guys. I wanted them gone. I wanted Patricia gone after week 1 with the Jets against Sam Darnold. Because you don't make those mistakes if you're a good head. You don't come out, get a pick 6, and then let a rookie quarterback drop 40 on you.
Defensive-minded coach.
So let's start there. I wanted these guys out. Regarding the pick, I wanted to trade back. I was adamant that Miami wanted Tua, and everybody knew they did.
Yep.
All you had to do was trade back 2 spots and then make your decision. If you wanted to take a tackle, a D lineman, or even Herbert, that's on you. But when you signed Chase Daniels leading up to the draft, you threw away your hand. Actions of stupidity and incompetency across the board for the longest time, and you guys just sit there and accept it. I told you what I wanted. I wanted to trade back. Miami was going for Tua. It was so obvious. It was being reported everywhere. And all you had to do is say, give us a first this year, swap picks, and give us a 2 down the road, a 2 this year, or maybe even a 1 down the road. Who knows what the negotiation would have looked like. You would have acquired draft capital. You still would have been picking in the top 5. You could have still taken Jeff Okudah if you wanted
And
him,
if he's a bust,
I promise you, he still would have been there at 5.
And if he's a bust, you got assets.
And if he's a bust, who cares? It still would have played out the same way. But that's with Quinn-Patricia. They still didn't even do that.
Yep.
No, they just were stubborn enough to take a corner at number 3. And Miami was desperate for Tua. Go back, rewatch, reread, go look at all the articles, all the reports coming out of Miami. They were gunning for Tua, and they were nervous because Detroit were also kind of contemplating taking a quarterback. Stafford entering the final years of his contract.
Yeah, there was rumors already.
It all lined up for you to trade back and make your move. And you decided to take a corner at 3. And your ownership allowed people that they didn't believe in to make future decisions for their franchise. Oh, it's okay, Sheila. It's okay, Sheila.
It is okay, Sheila.
It's not okay. You allowed people that you had no faith in, management and leadership that you showed you didn't have faith in by telling them what you told them going into the year. And you allowed them to make the number 3 overall selection for your franchise. You don't get to say, well, I walked into a mess. You were part of the reason. You're just as stupid as your mother and your father and everyone prior to them. You're just as incompetent. And you can hide behind, well, I'm out in the public now. I'm speaking. I'm different. You're just as dumb. Sorry. That's the truth. Go ahead,
good?
Kennedy. Yeah, I'm good.
All right, you guys, I got to tell you what you should do with your weekend. It's already Thursday, so here's what you're going to do tomorrow night. We've got Woodward Sports Friday Night Clash. You guys know the drill. We're broadcasting one of the best games in Metro Detroit on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thanks to our friends over at the Prep. You guys, Walled Lake Western at White Lake, Lakeland for the first round of high school football playoffs. How exciting. So make sure you guys come out to that if you can, but if not, make sure you're streaming it right here on our social channels. And then Sunday, we've got the Lions pregame live broadcast with Joik Bell, Neil Rule, Maz, myself, and Jade from The Riff from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. live from the Tin Roof. We'll be on the second floor, too cold to be outside, so we'll be inside. And if you can't make it, make sure you're streaming it on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for this Sunday's game against the Eagles. And then, of course, the party doesn't end at the pregame. You got to go to the postgame, too. Woodward Sports, Jim Beam, and now Truly Yum will be at the Brass Rail downtown starting at the 2-minute warning of every single Lions game this week. Hopefully, Dan Campbell will pull out his first win. Stick and Anson will be there, and they have the VIP zone for Woodward sports fans with pizza and more. Remember, the official postgame for Detroit football is at Brass Rail. You guys, make sure you're tuning in tomorrow. We're going to have so much to talk about with Michigan State coming up. We've got the Lions game on Sunday against the Eagles. So much to cover tomorrow. Make sure you're tuning in. We've got the Big D Energy Show with Neil Rule and Darren McCarty up next. So stick around right here on the Woodward Sports Network.